Okay, the final ceremony in Agile is the sprint retrospective. What we want to understand over the next 10, 15 minutes here is what key behaviors, more so this meeting than any, the behaviors matter, what the typical challenges are, what's a good script to follow for this, and the good behaviors you want in a retrospective. This is very much a touchy feely ceremony versus a nail down the details meeting. It is very important to understand some best practices here, and I will say I've seen sprint retrospectives go terrible when not managed correctly. They become blame sessions and finger pointing, and that falls on the Scrum Master to keep it orderly and professional. So the team is supposed to reflect on what they did during the last time box. They want to learn from their experiences so they can improve. Talk about what you've done. Identify and plans to take actions to help them improve. What do they need to improve? What did they do last session? And how can they get better? You want to spend about an hour on this per sprint. Um, Hours more than sufficient to kind of go through it. You want the Scrum Master to facilitate. This is really important for the Scrum Master to facilitate this well so the team can build on their collaboration skills instead of finger pointing. You do not want your stakeholders here. This is very much a couples therapy sort of session. Um, Impact of completed items is known and what can be quantified. So we go through what we actually delivered during the demo, and let's quantify actually some values to it. What could have went better with it? And it's not meant to be a blaming session at all. We're just trying to improve. We want to understand kind of if we met our velocity pieces or not, or if we were a little bit behind or ahead, and what we can do to help better estimate. Team discusses progress of improvement items in flight every retrospective. So it's really good to write down the major themes of improvement that you want to accomplish with your team and kind of make sure that we're constantly looking back at how we can improve. Team preps topics for discussion throughout sprint prior to retrospectives. So have maybe a little list of items that you want to bring up at the retrospective. It's encourage your groups to have a maybe a little to-do list or little list of issues that they want to talk about. There should be an open environment and very safe space for the individuals to speak. This is for teams to talk about what they think they did well and what they didn't think they did well, where they need help. This is kind of self-assessment. There's constantly tools out there and surveys that teams can take to see where they think they're going great and not. You can do this anonymously as a nice little technique to use. If individuals are afraid to speak up, so many times I see the loudest voice in the room taking over. So if you want to do anonymously, like QR codes or phone text message pieces, that's another avenue to take. And you really need everyone participating in this. It's, again, not great to have the loudest voice in the room talk. It is great to have everyone saying a little bit. This is going to help your team overall get better. When they have this time, as a leader, please set out this time and make sure that the teams are doing this because this will allow them to improve. So many times this meeting is skipped, canceled, or just does not exist in a lot of groups because we have work to do. We're busy. Well, that's okay because this helps your team get better at future work. If you work with a company that has continuing education, things like that, well, that's really where this comes in handy. This is continuing education. This is continuing improvement. So help it come to life by creating that safe space for folks to be open and honest with each other. And so some of the inputs to this are those information radiators, like what was your velocity, what is your technical debt, did anything go back into the backlog, those data points, bring those up, and then your impediments list. So The Scrum Master, if doing it right, should be kind of taking a list of those impediments during that daily stand up, or individuals should be able to remember kind of what their impediments were. And then the output is you really want to make sure that you have actionable items to make improvements. What did we do wrong, or what could I have done better? And then how am I going to make it better in the long run? A good example is I am really bad about sending emails without pre-reading them first or proofreading. And this actually came up in one of my yearly review sessions at an old company. And so that's typos, things like that. And so that was my feedback. What's my output? Actionable items. I now have a reminder on my desktop, pinned up to my desk, a little sticky note that says reread emails. That was my action item. It can be something as small as that to just remind yourself to maybe make some small improvements that's going to help you in the long run of things. All right. So, very important session for constant improvement and helping your teams get better. With that, let's kind of move into the common challenges. Backlog contains few or no improvements. Personal improvements and team improvements are just as important as delivery from the backlog. So be sure to put backlog items or be sure to put your team improvement items in the backlog. Action items identified previously, not implemented. So, did we say we're going to do something last review and then we didn't this time? It's a really good idea to kick off the sprint retrospective with what we said last time we're going to do. Retrospectives become complaining sessions. This is not the idea of a retrospective. We don't want to finger point. We don't want to sit there and complain and whine the whole time. This is meant to also be very uplifting. We should be patting each other on the back. We should be celebrating success. If you want to give out awards, that's highly encouraged. There's very much change management aspects to a retrospective. Team doesn't feel they can give each other feedback. That's that safe space. This will take time. Team needs to be working together for a while for this to happen. And the leaders need to say it is okay to give feedback. It is okay to accept feedback. No one is being judged here. Not all team members are participating. Very common. Some folks are introverts. They will, not speak up the level of others. Make sure everyone does say at least one thing, even if small, just to get started. Managers want to be present during session. Leaders, this is for the team. This is not for you. So if you are going to attend, be quiet. This is not meant to go on someone's review or year-end performance. Team keeps skipping the retrospectives. Like I said, this is very common to be canceled. That is a mistake. Team does not identify items that need escalation. So as we talk about what our issues are and how we can improve, some of those issues are going to be more important than others, and they should be identified. Okay. So with that, we have reached the conclusion of the Sprint Retrospective and Scrum 101. I hope this section gave you a pretty good overview, or at least a brief and to the point overview instead of taking a week-long training. I hope you really enjoyed it. Feel free to always reach out. We will answer questions all the time and happy to help outside of just this coursework. Thank you for your time.